This podcast is with Robbie Robinson, who is with Discover Hope 517 Ministry. I had a very interesting conversation here today about his organization and how he got involved in it. We'll have that for you in just a couple of moments. But first, a word from our sponsors, including Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. They do a great job, and of course, they've been awarded with the Small Business Award from the Chamber of Commerce in Newton. People just love Ryan and his crew. And they say thank you for all their dedicated customers and friends for your continued support. It means the world to them. Prices you can afford, quality you can trust, service you deserve at Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. Wesley Life Park Center. Make your loved one's day by enrolling them in Willowbrook, a Wesley Life Adult Day Center. Willowbrook on the Park Center campus provides a welcoming and stimulating environment that allows participants to maintain independence while receiving support and encouragement. Social engagement, companionship, and enriching opportunities are provided to give participants a purposeful and fulfilling day. Willowbrook's person-centered care includes exercise focused on total health and well-being and programming that includes music therapy, pet therapy, guest speakers, outings, and much more. If you'd like to learn more about Willowbrook, call 641-791-4500 to arrange a tour. And Tony Pesca, IR Realty, give her a call today if you're buying or selling a home at 641-417-8484. 641-417-8484. It's time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout, and this time around we'll be talking to Robbie Robinson of Discover Hope 517 Ministry. And Robbie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Awesome, Jamie. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
For those that don't know, what is Discover Hope Ministry 517 all about?
Yeah, so Discover Hope 517 Ministry is a recovery community organization. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization within our community here in Jasper County. And so essentially what Discover Hope is, we like to meet the marginalized where they're at and really begin to help them with that transition of their life. So being a faith-based organization, so we really believe that if we can inspire hope in people, allow them to see what that hope looks like, and then help them to begin that journey of transformation. So through many different resources that we offer those individuals who come in our doors. And so in our community center, so our community center here is open 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. We serve a free lunch from 11:30 to 1 every day, Monday through Friday. And so we call it Bread of Life Meal Ministry. And so we've seen hundreds of thousands of people come through over the years with that free meal, which then allows us to have those conversations. I love to say in my household, we still eat dinner around the table, which is kind of foreign for nowadays. Mm-hmm. And in that opportunity, I get to ask my kids and my wife questions, and we have really deep conversations to get to know the heart of each other. And we do that same premise at Discover Hope, which allows us to get past the surface crisis of their life, to really talk about what's happening on a deeper level. And then we try to help them to address that and walk through that process. We also have 13 different support services that we offer out of our building. So there's something here every day of the week. And then also there's a New Creation Church that worship here on Sunday morning. So they also have things going on. So it really keeps a lot of movement within the organization. And that's why we have a restoration house. It's transitional housing for men. It's kind of been our new birth of the organization. So we have 4 men in the house right now. And basically we help them to start this reintegration back into the community. And so they come here to get stability, they get discipled, they get jobs, they work. We help them with their finances, budgeting, wellness plan, life skills, those types of things that help them to make that transition. It's 12 months long. And so we're excited about that. And so, yeah, so our organization continue to say, hey, we want to meet people right where they're at and give them the hope that really that Jesus would change their life, and essentially like he has done ours. And so that's my story as well. So Discover Hope 517 Ministry will birth from my journey from prison. And so, yeah.
And that's what I wanted to get to next.
Yes.
Let's go way back and talk about your journey, Robbie.
Okay, yeah.
How did you get into this ministry in the first place?
Oh, yeah. So originally, I got in here. I'm originally from Mississippi, and my family moved to Iowa when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I lived that typical dysfunctional, generational poverty, situational poverty lifestyle. My family was poor culturally, and which led to just a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse. My mom was in addiction. My dad was in addiction. I don't know who my real dad is. And so, so a lot of trauma as a little kid. So verbal abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse is my story. Got into my addiction when I was 8 years old, into pornography, found my dad's sock drawers, they called it back then, and got addicted to that. That made me a womanizer. That began my journey of seeking that fulfillment in other ways, drugs, people, things like that. And so eventually led me in and out of juvenile detention center, boot camp, Eldora State Training School, and then eventually to prison. My first time when I was 19 years old for assault with a weapon. I did 9 months, discharged that sentence, got out of prison, I got out of prison, 9 months out, caught 72 years, was back in prison. And so I did 5 years on that sentence. I ended up getting, by the time, through the courts and whatnot, ended up with 20 years. I did 5 years on that sentence here in Iowa. And it was in prison that I have this spiritual encounter. I say this miraculous divine intervention that took place in my life, which is the pinnacle of my story.
Do you feel like the Lord channeled through you?
Oh, yes, hands down. He met me in my brokenness. I tell people all the time, I wasn't seeking him. I wasn't looking for him, bro. He met me in there at the depths of my pain, of my trauma. It was right after my son's death. My father had died in 2002, and then right after that, 2003, October 2003, my son had passed, and he was 5. His brother was 18 months in a house fire. I was in prison, tried to commit suicide while I was in there from the pain of their death. And no, God spared me. He met me in that. I'll never forget the worship song that was playing when he saved my life. Blessed be the name of the Lord was the song, and he's like, I give and I take away. I give and I take away. Blessed be my name. And it was in that moment that I just heard this small, still voice inside that said, hey, I choose you. And that begins, I didn't understand that, but I knew in that moment, through repentance of my sins, turning to him, he began this journey. And, and so it was a year later, I began this relationship with him, understanding who he was, allowed him to really teach me who I was. I was a lost, broken man, hurting and with a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. And God began the healing process. And so while I was in prison, and so 5 years of just being discipled in there through a program called Prison Fellowship Academy, and got to meet the Lord in that, and just his character in there, and it begins to redefine what I believed, what I thought, what life was, what a father is. My daughter was still out there. And so I got on fire, got to go to my son's funeral. Someone blessed me to go to my son's funeral by donating the money, and got to speak at my son's funeral and kind of gave this public testimony that my life is going to be different. I'm going to be changed. I'm going to serve Jesus, like, rah! Yeah. Crazy, right? And so I had this burning desire inside of me that I knew one day my story God would use it to be hope and inspiration to other people. And I didn't see what I'm doing today by any means, but I knew something was going to be different. And even though I didn't know what that was going to look like, yeah, I spent 5 years, got out of prison, and that began my journey.
So it sounds like you turned your life around 180 degrees.
Yeah, bro.
So how did you end up with the idea to do something like Discover Hope anyway?
Yeah, so when I got out of prison and got connected to a good church, got connected to a good mentor. He's still my mentor to this day. I've been out now 20 years, and so been in my recovery now for 23 years. And I was in this leadership class called Emerging Journey, and it's really about understanding your story from a kingdom perspective, from a spiritual perspective. And in that, it helped me to begin to deal with my trauma and my pain and my hurt and my wounds. It started giving me some healings. But so in that class, I had this vision. I felt like God gave me this vision. He says, hey, freely I gave to you, freely I want you to give. And he said, I want you to reach those who come from where you come from. And Newton, Maytag had just shut down. And so the drug and addictive culture had just got really rampant. It got exposed, right? It wasn't hit no more. It was out in front of everyone. And there was nothing in the community from a faith-based standpoint that was actually attacking that culture specifically. And so, that the corner of that market was wide open. I didn't realize all that. I just had this vision and said, hey, you know what? I can do that part, right? So no training, no formal training, no nothing. And just praying, met with another brother. His name was Aaron Groves. He was a lieutenant sheriff in our community. And it was really interesting part of our story because we was breaking cultural barriers too because Aaron was white, I'm a black man, and so we was breaking racial cultural barriers. And he was law enforcement, I was from the prison, so right there was a lot of things that was taking place
Sure.
and all that, and so. And
two people from different worlds.
Completely different worlds, right? And he had a jagged belief system towards the culture that I come from with drug addiction, because in law enforcement they see it all the time. They hear all the time, we're gonna change. They never do. I was a guy that had changed, like God had completely radically changed my life, and I was fresh out of prison, and I was getting this new journey, and I'm a brand new believer and trying to mature spiritually as well. And so we got connected, and God used Aaron to give me a voice in the community, in a sense where they can hear my voice, they can hear my story, and it's not so much write me off because hey, that guy just new to our community, he don't look like none of us, and you know what I mean. And so he's from drugs, right? From the culture of drugs and abuse and that. They're like So Aaron's like, hey, I can vouch for him. I've been doing life with him. So he gave me a voice at the table in a sense. So enough for them to hear my story. And God took it from there. It was a wrap after that. And so, so he gave me a vision, that class called Discover Hope, for people to discover hope. And then 5:17 come from 2 Corinthians 5:17 in scripture. Therefore, if you belong to Christ Jesus, you are a new creation. The old life is gone. The new life has begun. And that verse stuck with me because I began to realize that my past didn't define me anymore. Because in my belief in Jesus, that he gave me a new life, a new opportunity to begin to live a different life. So I'm not defined by my past anymore. So I always say when it comes to addiction, I rewrote the definition of addiction. Mm-hmm. And I say addiction is the external behaviors of a deeper rooted sin trauma issue. And I say that because this is what happened to me. If when I realized that my addiction was just the external behavior, so there was a symptom from something that was really hurting on the inside of me. So when God began to deal with my sin issue and my trauma issue, and I began to get healing in that things, my addiction goes away. And so because what I'm doing, otherwise, I'm trying to mask the pain that I'm dealing with from the hurts that I have received. And so I need to get high, I need to drink, I need to smoke, I need to gamble, I need pornography, I need all these things, mm-hmm. right? Whatever, if it's eating, whatever, no matter what your addiction is, it's actually masking something that's deeper that's going on. And so I'm like, no. So we don't do behavioral modification. No, we meet people where they're at, and we want to walk with them where their heart issues at, because then we see the transformation come. So that began the pinnacle of my journey. And so I'm like, discover hope, 5:17. So ministries. And so my heart was like, can Jesus be the thumbprint? Can Jesus be the solution? No step processes. Mm-hmm. So I started a little small group, 2014, in the basement of my church. They gave me on a Tuesday night. And man, God took that and blew it up. I didn't know what he was doing 6 months into it. He gave me a vision. He says, hey, prepare a place for people to come every day. I was working at Vermeer Corporation for about 10 years. I was a welding supervisor there. Loved it. Great company. They've been so good to me. They was the first company that planted seed money into the vision that God gave me. They equipped me well there and what I was called to do. And I had no idea how God was using them to get me ready for what he was calling me to do. And so I have deep respect for that company, and they just love me. And so they never seen my color. They see me as a person, mm-hmm. and they gave me a chance, a second chance. I've been a violent individual, long rap sheet. They let me in their company, and so there was a tremendous blessing to what I get to do today.
Are you still working there, or is this a full-time job?
This is my full-time. Yeah, this is my full-time job. Yeah, I left Vermeer Corporation in 2016. Yep. So after I got that vision, prepare a place for people to come every day. Mm-hmm. Told my wife about that. So I think I'm supposed to quit my job and open up a community center for the marginalized. And she was like, "Oh, that's awesome, babes. God didn't tell me that. You gonna go to work in the morning." I'm like, "All right, I'm going to work. I ain't quitting my job today." And so so it was about 6 months after that, she came to me one night at the dinner table, and she said, "I believe you're supposed to do this. I support you 100%. For all the men out there who are married, never make a decision without your wife's approval." And she gave me her blessing, and so we start walking the process of my transition from Vermeer and to open the community center for Discover Hope 5:17 ministry. And it was just we was downtown on the square for a little while, a little building there. And I poured my heart out to it, started fundraising, raising fundings for it, being a nonprofit, and so good friends of mine helped me get the nonprofit status started on my board. And so, yeah, so I just started pounding the streets with the testimony, with the story. That's my why. It's that, man, I believe that God can transform anyone's life if they're willing to surrender their life. You know, and that begins a journey. Say, hey, it doesn't matter what you've been through and what it is. I want to meet you in that space. And I want my lifestyle to be a model as well, right? So I'm not asking you to do anything that I haven't been through and done. I'm not telling you some fable stories. I'm not book selling you anything. This is real life for me. Like, I walked this journey. I walked this story. I got their story. You know, I was homeless. I was shot twice. I was strung out. I got the story, and I'm saying, hey, I believe God can deliver you and change your life. You got to put in the work, though, right? And so Discover Hope forming that. So I work our curriculum here called New Life. It's our foundational curriculum here, a new life, a new journey to a new life. It's a 12-month program and a support service, and so. We have so many different other ones that we do as well within the organization. So yeah, I started there, and then it just kept growing. I got story, bro, for days of how we got to the building that we're in today with the community center, that transitional housing for men in one location. We see about 75, 80 people a day come through our door. This 2024, we served over 13,000 people. Through this ministry, through this organization, and it's just a young organization. We're 9 years into conception, and so we don't have a revenue stream. And so really, I just share the story, and I believe for God to continue. People catch that vision and support us in a sense, and so so it's just been amazing. Bread of Life Meal Ministry, we've served over 25,000 meals through our organization. 100% donated. The food is. You know, through people just come in and just donate food, donate products. We put out wish lists, and people just come, and we serve our community well and the surrounding areas. And so we have different men's group, women group, support groups, all those types of things. And so it's been a really beautiful picture of just trying to be the hands and feet of Christ in our community. Just one part of it, right? There's many. We partner well within our community because we don't do all things. We stay in our lane. And so if it's mental health, we got great resources. We help people get to, if it's drug addiction, that's our lane. That's what we do. And so we help people get placed, and if they need to get a place, if they need treatment, we help them get them treatment, housing, those types of things. So our resource center director does a phenomenal job. Katie does a phenomenal job with that. And Kelsey's our communication and marketing director. She does a phenomenal job of communicating who we are. So if you're checking out our website or our Facebook page, Kelsey does all that good stuff. They're a great team. And so,
Well, and that's kind of how I contacted you, was through Kelsey.
Yeah.
And I guess what I want to ask too, I don't know if you knew this or not, I started a nonprofit when I was on the radio in Waterloo.
Oh, Waterloo.
And it was to take chronically and terminally ill kids to Walt Disney World, and it's still going.
Really?
They've just done their 25th year.
Wow.
I'm not a part of it anymore. When I left the radio station, they changed the name and everything. But it's not easy getting a nonprofit going.
No, it's not.
And you said you got support from Vermeer.
Yes.
And Aaron Groves also was part of that whole thing too, as far as encouragement and cheerleading and things like that.
Yep.
How is this organization funded?
So we are primarily funded. I just looking at these numbers for another partner of ours, and so 75% of our funding come from individuals, and those individuals who really just catch the vision of what we're doing and support us. It's been really a huge, beautiful picture, and I would say the next big part of that is churches is about 5% of what we get. Employers is about 5% of what we receive. But the other 50% or so is grants and foundations. We don't do a lot of state, federal grants just because we are a faith-based organization, and I really believe that I don't want anyone to put red tape and choke chain me from doing what God has called me to do. I want to be obedient to Him before anybody else. In the sense of just really telling the gospel story. We don't beat people with a Bible. They don't have to be religious to come to our organization. It's none of that, right? We meet anybody where they're at, but we want to be able to love them like God called us to love them. And so, and say no if we need to say no in areas. And so most of our funding comes that way. And so we just continue to try to, I really get out a lot and just try to meet with people, do interviews and try to share the story, share the why, who we are, get people connected to our resource center. because the people that we serve doesn't cost them nothing. That's a lot. They don't have nothing, and that's the last burden you want to put on them. We really want to meet them where they're at, and the hope is that as God changed their lives, they will be a blessing to us, and that other people will see what we're doing and be a blessing to us. So I'm always looking for ideas and opportunities and ways to continue to get funding into the organization as well. Discover Hope 517 Ministry has survived a little over 9 years in conception, strictly that way. God just shows up continuously and provide for the organization. And some people call me crazy. They're like, "Oh man, you better figure out a revenue stream. You need." I said, "Hey man, my prayer's always been, if money defines the fruit of what I'm doing it for the wrong reasoning. What defines the fruit of what I'm doing is the lives that are being transformed." Right. And so then I can always stay in a heart place and heart posture to give glory to where glory goes. It's not about Robbie, because I got their story. God grabbed me too, and he changed my life, and he gave me hope and inspiration. Now I'm married to a beautiful wife, Emily. We've been married 13 years, together 14 years. We got 6 kids, hers and ours. My youngest is 6, and I got a 1-year-old grandbaby. And when I got 2 boys at 18 months apart. When I look at my sons, I get to look at them with hope, say, hey, because God has redeemed and renewed and restored my life, that generational curse has been broken off of you. So my sons will never have to experience what I went through. They actually get to see a good father, how to be a good husband and a good leader. Like, that's what this is about. How do we change the next generation? So the people we're serving, we say, hey, we believe God can restore your life through his redemption, through renewing your belief system, and then he can bring restoration to you. And that restoration pours into your family. So when we sit in the courtroom watching people get their kids back and their families getting back reconciled together, it's beautiful when they're smiling because they know that my life has changed, my life is different, and I can get that to my sons, I can get that to my daughters. And we see in family restoration, we're all about family integration here at Discover Hope 517 Ministry, and it's been huge. And so I tell people all the time, I say out there in the streets, we call it Egypt, right? That's where bondage and slavery is taking place. And when they come across the parking lot of Discover Hope, I say that's the split of the Red Sea. God has miraculously given them an opportunity to get to the wilderness. See, the wilderness is not the promised land, but the wilderness is where they get law. It's where they get understanding. They get met where they're at. We get to tell them like, hey, you have an option. You have a choice, right? You can choose into something different than what you've been choosing into. So your crisis today does not have to be your crisis tomorrow, even though it may look like it, because you can make a decision today, say, I'm done. I want change, and I want to put in the work. And so what we want to do is meet you there and begin to walk with you through that process of that transformation, with the hope that we can get you to the promised land, which I always say is the community, the faith community, right? So we say New Creation Church is the promised land. We want to get you there where these people whose lives have been transformed can walk with you now, disciple you, because the reality is the culture of the marginalized, they need to see hope too, not just hear it. They need to see that model before them. We all need that, and so the faith community get to model what it looks like to live a new transformed life. Now, it's not going to be for everybody, and I get that. Like, I walked through 13 suicides in the 10 years I've been doing this ministry, where I've seen them come, and I'm like, they're ready to end, and then they get to a healthy spot, and then they check out. Hospital beds, I've sat next to a lot of hospital beds, did a lot of funerals. I've seen this addiction kill people, but I also seen people survive it and their lives be transformed. I still see people struggling in it because it's still hard, because they still stuck in it. And so we want to get them to the promised land. So I always tell people all the time that model is what keeps me inspired to keep fighting every day. So I tell people, I don't go to work every day. I get up every morning, I praise the Lord, and blessed days give me another day. But I get to go to the mission field. My life has purpose because there's always another person needing hope. And so as long as I'm here and I can do that, that's my purpose every day.
So let me jump in real quick, Robbie, about going to the promised land and giving people hope and this kind of thing. And I've asked you this question before when you've spoken at Rotary and at the radio station. AA is a 12-step program.
Yes,
you say you don't do a 12-step program
right.
here. Is it based on hope? Is it based on what your life can be and the decisions you make? Is that how it's different?
Yeah, the difference is for us is, and again, I have nothing against AA and A, Celebrate Recovery and those. I just let people know. But what I believe is I don't want to put another thing in people's life that becomes their bondage, right? Because now if I don't work the steps, then I'm going to relapse.
Backslide.
I'm a backslide, right? And so I don't think that's freedom. I don't think that's true freedom or true healing, because our ultimate goal, and I tell people all the time, if you ask me, I say, yeah, man, I got 23 years in my recovery, but I'm not in recovery no more because I've been healed. So I don't fight that type of battle, that type of struggle no more, right? Like when crisis happened in my life, I don't think about going to get high or going to get drunk. No, man, I call a mentor up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I go talk to someone, and because it's been a repetition of the change in my life. And so when I talk about hope, it's a, hey, I'm hope. We want to inspire people with hope to say, hey, I have a new life, that I'm actually healed from this, you know, and because the whole NAAA and that model and Celebrate Recovery, that model teaches you that that addiction isn't a disease. I'm not a believer of that. And I know that's out there in the secular world and the culture, psychiatrists and therapy and all that stuff. But I think 2 Corinthians 5:17 dismells that belief system. Because if I believe I have that disease and that disease is not curable, I'm just waiting for the next time I relapse.
Like it's going to happen again.
It's going to happen.
You're predicting it.
Yeah, you're predicting it. And you're scared to even live life because you're afraid. Like, if I actually let loose, I'm going to go get high, I'm going to get drunk. I'm like, bro, that's not freedom. That's bondage. And so I'm like, we got to get rid of that. And I'm saying, hey, put your hope in purpose now. Right? Let's not think about that no more. Let's put your hope in purpose now. Let's move forward. Because, see, if we change the heart issue, we change the behavior issues. You hear what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not going to go to a bar because I know what's going to happen, right? That's just wisdom. That's not, well, man, no, you don't go there no more. That's not what you do no more because you're new, right? Like I tell people all the time, if you hang out in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a
haircut.
You're going to get a haircut, right? So let's not do that, bro. Like, let's leave that.
Okay, I get that.
And so we got to be willing to say no to the culture so that we can continue to look for the change in our lives. So we want to grow. So you need a new circle, you need a new community, you need new people. And ultimately, you need to believe in something that's going to give you that hope, right? So ultimately, the hope that we try to give people is faith, right? We say, hey, man, this Bible has become law to you. It has to become purpose to you. It has to become priority to you. I can't live your life for you. No way. But what I can do is hold you accountable to behaviors. So I tell people all the time, it takes 18 months to 2 years to change a lifestyle. Right? So people come to me and say, hey, Robbie, I'm in my recovery. I say, how long you been clean? Man, I got 8 months in. I'm like, oh, bro, you got time to go. You got, yeah. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Like, no, we can't let you speak.
Keep working.
That's right. Like, I'm not going to put you in a speaking role. I'm not going to put you in a leadership role. I'm not going to put you in those types of things. I'm saying, hey, man, 2 years produces a lifestyle. That's a lifestyle change that I can see fruit that are consistent and sustainable. And that's where hope comes from. It's a sustainable transformation in your mind where you're saying, hey, you know what? I can do this. I'm not alone. I got good support. And so, so that's what we do for hope support.
Great. If people want to support you financially or volunteering or whatever the case might be, Robbie, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, so if they go to discoverhope517ministry.org, and if they go to our website, discoverhope517.org is our website. If they want to, if you're in our area, if you want to stop by our building at 733 First Avenue East, Newton, Iowa, we'd love to hear you. Monday through Friday, we're here. Our Facebook page, if you look up Discover Hope 517 in Newton, Iowa, it's our Facebook page. Easy ways. Our website is probably the greatest way. You can get the story, who we are, and you can give to us online giving, recurring giving. If you want to volunteer, if you want to serve. And I always tell people there's 3 things I always ask people to do. Number 1, I say, hey, pray for our organization. We're fighting a spiritual battle, right? The marginalized community is a rough community. The addictive community is a rough community. And we see so many homeless people come in, so many people are dying in that lifestyle. We're working with a homeless guy in our community right now. And everybody knows him. We finally, after 7 years, finally got him to come into our building. 7 years of praying and fasting and believing and inviting. And he finally walked into our building, and so right now, and so that was Tuesday. And then he came in Wednesday. He hated us Thursday. And today is Friday. He came in by himself today.
Oh.
And our goal is that if he keeps showing up, hopefully he'll allow us to get him the treatment. Maybe he can start this different journey. Why is that? Because he see hope when he come in the door. People meet him where he's at. People don't judge him. We take him a shower. We get him new clothes, a change of clothes. We wash his clothes. We get him food. But we try not to enable the process. We want him to know that, hey, you are loved underneath all of that. And so pray for what we're doing. Second way I say, if it's possible, come and visit us. I can't talk about it enough. You have to come and see what God is actually doing, what's happening in the community center, what's happening in this building, what's connected to the people, serve a lunch, serve a meal. And then I say, if you do those first two things, the third thing will happen. You will know how to support us with your resources, support us with your time and availability, and support us with your prayers. And so we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We're tax deductible. And so we're always looking for financial partners to allow us to continue to support this ministry. And so continue to reach our budget each year. And so we have 4 staff, a part of our team here at Discover Hope 517 Ministries. And so we got credibility on us, got years under us, and God is using us to make a big impact for our community. And so, yeah, I always like to say, hey, remember, to change your life is to change your community. You can make a difference.
Our interview guest has been Robbie Robinson of Discover Hope 517 Ministry. Robbie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yes, thank you, Jamie.
This podcast also sponsored by Newton Clinic. Feeling under the weather with a sore throat or flu symptoms? Newton Clinic is here to help you feel better fast. Call 641-792-2112, 641-792-2112 to schedule an appointment. Let them take care of you so you can get back on your feet at Newton Clinic. Go to their website, newtonclinic.com. Also sponsored by Lynette Baker, Halo Branded Solutions, Free Classified Weekly, and Westside Java Coffee
Dinner,
Bar.
Death, and Diamonds. Join Iowa Chef of the Year Aaron Holt from Doolittle Farm and the team at Alta House Event Center for an unforgettable dinner and murder mystery experience in Newton on Saturday, February 15th. This Valentine's Day, step into the world of Regency era elegance and intrigue. The event includes an exquisite farm-to-table dinner from Chef Aaron Holt, a signature drink ticket and full bar available, delectable chocolates to savor, and diamond play, an opportunity to try your hand for a genuine diamond. You'll be swept up in a night where love, scandal, and murder collide. Join us on February 15th at the Death and Diamonds Murder Mystery Dinner Experience at Alta House Event Center in Newton. Act now, as tickets are limited and selling quickly for this one-of-a-kind event. More information is available at deathanddiamonds.com.
Are you feeling financially drained? Tired of high interest rates and endless debt? Fear not, your financial superhero has arrived. Advantage Credit Union is here to rescue you from financial distress. With our powerful loan refinancing options, you could lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, and free up cash for a brighter future. Unleash your financial superpower today. Call us at 641-792-5660 or apply online at acuiowa.org.
Subject to credit approval, terms and conditions may apply. See credit union for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
Until next time, out is out. See ya.